swear I didn't spoil the lightsaber. Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of In My Community. As someone who grew up with Star Wars, I always wanted to become a Jedi. So who better to grant me this wish than Jahann from the Saber Authority?
Hi, good to meet you all. I'm very happy to share stuff with you today.
So can you introduce yourself and also showcase your lightsaber to us today?
Yeah, so my name is Jahann and I'm the current owner and operator of the Saber Authority. So yeah, this is just one of the lightsabers we have. It's actually one I made a long time ago. But I gave this to one of our members actually. But yeah, I'm happy to give you a little showcase of it. Video.
Oh.
Hello.
How did you get into this saber dueling? Were you a fan of Star Wars before that already?
Oh yeah, I was. Like how I got into it, actually I think is a lot more normal than most people would expect. It was basically I was in my first year of NS. Literally saw an ad on Facebook, thought it seemed fun, came down, and then that's how I got involved in this community. And then 10 years later, I'm somehow running it.
So I can say that you are actually part of the pioneer batch. Yeah, so how was it like doing back then? Like how many people were part of your batch?
It was really small back then. It was very much it felt a lot like a literal underground movement.
Yeah.
It would just be about 5-6 of us gathering under MRT tracks on Sunday nights, swinging sabers together, learning from our instructor. So it started out really small, just like that, 5-7 of us. But then it grew pretty quickly because it was during the time of the new movies.
Yeah.
So within about 3-4 months, you had about 7-8 of us regulars, and then about 15-20 people that were trying it out for the first time every week.
How has the Saber Authority changed from the first time you joined to your this current batch?
Oh, I'd say the focus has changed quite a lot. I think when it was first started by our founder, because he came from the martial arts background, right? The focus was a lot more on the martial art itself. The focus was a lot more on potential self-defense applications. So whereas now what it's kind of changed into is it's changed into more about a community and a fitness focus. But the community aspect I think is a lot stronger now than it was at the very beginning. Where it's a lot of times when people come, they're coming for each other. They're coming because we're all good friends. We all want to chat about what's happened with ourselves this week. Yeah. Because there are any new shows that we're watching. We enjoy that kind of that live sparring and that idea of we can train, we can get better, we can improve our standing, best our opponents, and all that at the core of it is always going to be fitness. Because for you to engage in any martial art, if you can get more proficient, there is a level of fitness that is required, right?
Yeah.
So part of that involves improving our stamina, it involves improving in terms of even just weightlifting. Because these things may look light, but these things still are fundamentally a chunk of metal with a chunk of plastic at the end. So they're not yet they feel light for the first couple of swings. After you're 100 or 200 swing, right? They start to get real heavy. So this part of being able to keep up with the sport is a level of fitness too. But we also tell our members that it's always about what you can handle, right? Come here, push yourself as much as you want, and you step on, take a break, that's perfectly fine. We're not going to judge you for it. You do up to what you feel is healthy to you.
What is a typical training for the Saber Authority?
So usually for us, we always start with a good out of warm-ups, right? Just like with any kind of other sport or any other kind of martial art, you want to make sure you avoid cramps, do a health check with everyone, is everyone feeling okay and things like that. Once we go through our warm-up, then we'll usually split with some pair work. Yeah. During the pair work, we're going to practice our basic drills, which usually our diagonal strikes, and then we're going to practice our basic movement. So once that's done, then we'll go into whatever that lesson's content is. Sometimes the lesson content is going to be about advanced strikes, sometimes it will be about sparring practice, sometimes it could be about facility training, training by endurance, so whatever the flavor of that is. And then we'll end down every lesson with about 15 minutes of sparring between all our members.
Apart from the fitness side, right? Is there any feedback from your members, how they help them, not just physically, but also, emotionally, mentally as well?
I've definitely seen comments, especially people who moved to Singapore who are not born here, who tell me, I wasn't able to find many friends or many people to hang out with on the weekends, and this community has changed well there for me. I was just seeing people interacting with others, and maybe got us and they're a little bit socially awkward and things like that. And apart from the feedback as well, I think it's just been a joy for me to see people who came and who were initially very quiet, who were after a couple of months, I'm seeing them as the initial conversation and things like that. Where the kind of people we attract, it's very unsurprising that they share similar hobbies. So I could probably take any one of our members right now, and I find that they have an interest in Star Wars. They likely have an interest in Gundam. They likely have an interest in D&D or other types of tabletop role-playing games. Or they likely have an interest in general fantasy and things like that as well. So that's just kind of something that's cool here, that we don't just talk about Star Wars, we talk about all the other things that interest us too. But fundamentally, what brings us here in the first place is always that kind of childlike desire to wield the lightsaber. It's the first time I've been part of something, right, where I see people from, all ages, all races, all sizes, just casually chatting with each other, no barriers, nothing, right? And that's always been something that's really, really special to me. And to see us be able to come together and experience shared passions together is something that till this day I just love seeing. Every we have a new member come in, they'll ask someone a question about Star Wars, a question about different fandom, and to see that someone else reply and get excited and light up. That's what I do this year.
So where can people find you guys if they want to join your session?
So you can find us on Instagram at Saber Authority, or you can find us at our website www.saberauthority.com.
Thank you so much for sharing about lightsaber dueling. And remember, may the force be with you. Goodbye.
Bye.